Hey guys, welcome back once again. This is Srikanth Rathod here. Today's topic is the continuation of the previous class. As I discussed percentages and the types of question what you may expect on that in my previous class. So I recommend you, if you have not gone through the concepts and the basic fundamentals, I recommend you guys to go through the previous video and continue with this. So today I'm going to discuss about the application of the percentage, that is the simple interest and compound interest. So let's start. Yeah, simple interest, it's basically a calculating a interest on a certain amount for once in a period of time. So the time period may be 1 year, 2 year, or depending upon what are the time period has been specified. So whatever the amount has been deposited, and that overall you are calculating the interest once in a entire time period, that's called the simple interest, right? Mathematically we can represent a simple interest as, so just we can note as SI will be written as PTR by 100. Some students do refer the T with the N, so that is just represent the number of years or a time period, that's it. So what the P represent here, the P represents a principal amounts, or I can say the initial deposit, principal amount. T represents a time period, and R represents a rate of interest. Rate of interest. Remember, so time period here in terms of years. So always the period what we are talking here for the simple interest is in terms of years. If they have given you a time period for months, let's say 5 months or 8 months, something that you have to convert into year, and then you have to make use of it, right? So the whatever the amount we gonna get after a certain simple interest, including the amount which has deposited, what we say the amount or the value. So the value what we gonna get, it's gonna be my principal amount plus the simple interest. So this can be modified here as the principal amount plus the simple interest is P TR by 100. So if you take the P as a common out, then it becomes 1 plus TR by 100, right? That is the value after you gonna get, after a certain interest, it's gonna be P times 1 plus TR by 100. So or else you can just find the simple interest and add it to the principal amount. That's it. Let's see some examples relating with this. Let's take example here. If 15,000 is invested at a 10% simple annual interest, how much interest is earned after 9 months? So the time period here they have given here as 9 months in terms of months. So let's specify what are the given values. They have given the value as P, that is the initial amount, that is principal amount 15,000. So value of P is going to be 15,000. Rate of interest is 10%, and the time period here they have given in terms of months, so I have to convert it into years. So how do we convert? We know that a year has 12 months, so divide number of months by 12, that converts the value in terms of years. So I can say 9 by 12, in simplified I can say 3 by 4. Now the simple interest formula we have is PTR by 100. Substitute these values here. 15,000 times time period here is 3 by 4 in terms of years. I can, let me just write it is years, and rate of interest here is 10%. This all divided by 100. So this all divided by 100. So simplify it, sorry, this is 10, right? So simplify it, 0 and 0 just get cancelled out, this 0 with this. What else we left? We left here as 1500 times 3 by 4. So I can divide by 2, then it's going to be 750. I can divide further by 2, then it's going to be 375. 375 times 3. 3 times 5, it's going to be 15. So carry 1. 3 times 7 is 21. 21 time plus 1, it's going to be 22. So let me take carry 2. 3 times 3, it's going to be 9. 9 plus 2, it's going to be 11. So the interest what we going to get after 9 months on this amount is 1125. So I can say now the simple interest what we gonna earn here is 1125. So this is the simple way of calculating. So sometime, you know, a simple interest will be given to you, and the time period and the rate of interest will be given to you. They may expect you to solve what is the principal amount, or I can say among these variables like the P, T, R and also SI, the three variables will be given to you, and they'll tell you to find the unknown, that is whichever the missing, whether it may be a time period, it may be a principal amount or the rate of interest. So you have to make use of this rule and get with whichever they are expecting us to solve, right? Let's take another example. Let's talk about this example. Example number 2. It says Harry borrowed a $3,000 from his friend for a period of 2 years at a 12% annum. What amount will he pay, or what amount will Harry pay? The principal amount what he borrowed here is 3,000. So value of P, I can say this is 3,000, and the time period, so here it's 2 years, and the rate of interest, it's 12%, but they are asking what amount. So they are asking what is the amount he gonna pay including the principal plus the simple interest. So we know that the value, as we say, we can write it as P times 1 plus TR by 100, or you can just calculate simple interest and add that with the principal amount. That's same. Now substitute these values here. So 3000 times 1 plus the rate of interest is 12, and the time period here is 2 years. So we can say here 2 times 12 by 100. So simplify this, 3000 1 plus 24 by 100, right? So just don't calculate this 100 with this 3000, okay, because this is not the multiplication, because here it is 1 plus 24 by 100, it is just not 24 by 100. So this is inside here, it's one is in the fractional and one is the whole number. The first you have to translate everything in terms of fractional, then you can cancel out, or you can just say 24 by 100, you can write it as a 0.24. So this is further simplified here as 3000 times 1 plus 24 by 100, I can write as 0.24, right? So that's what we're gonna say, 3000 times 1.24. So what is the value? That's 3000 times 1.24, we can say here as 30 times 124. So as I'm taking these this decimal point to the 2 digits here, so I can cancel 2 zeros. So it's 30 times 124. So what is the value you gonna get? 30 times 124. So just do 124 times 3, and then you can add 0 at the end. So 4 times 3, it's gonna be 12. So 2 carry 1. 3 times 2, it's gonna be 6. 6 plus 1, it's gonna be 7, and 3 times 1, it's gonna be 3. So he gonna pay 3720. So the total amount what he gonna pay here is 3720. So after 2 year of time period with a rate of interest as 12%. So the value what Harry gonna pay to his friend is 3720. So this is how we calculate the value including the simple interest, right? Okay, so let's take another example here. See, as I told, so it's not always that you have to calculate only simple interest. They may ask you any unknown, maybe time period, maybe a principal amount, maybe rate of interest, anything. So let's take one example here. Mr. John gave $1,000 to his friend at a rate of R% simple annual interest. 2 years later, he collects 1,250. What is R? So now here question is about what is the rate of interest. So how do we calculate? This is the principal amount and this is what he returned. It means this is the value, right? And time period here they have given as the 2 years. So now expecting us to find what is the value of R, that is the rate of interest. So one thing I can write here as value can be written as principal amount plus the simple interest. So from this simple interest I can say value minus the principal amount. So value here, whatever the amount he returned is 1,250, and the principal amount what initially he took was 1,000, right? So it's gonna be 1,250 minus 1,000, that's gonna give you 250. That is the interest. So 1,000 plus 250, that is what he returned. So now the simple interest here it's 250, and we know that the value of formula for the simple interest is PTR over 100. This is the simple interest. That value I can say this is equivalent to 250. Now question is about the solve for R. So for solving the R, you can arrange this expression by just doing the cross multiplication. From this one I can get the R, it's basically 250 times 100 over P time, P times the T, right? So substitute the values now. 250 times 100 over what is the principal amount, 1,000, and time period was 2 years. So just simplify it. So what we gonna get? 0 0 cancels, this is cancels here, right? So it's gonna be 25 by 2, so I can say 12.5%. So the rate of interest with which he borrowed the money is 12.5%. Okay, these are the simple examples relating with the simple interest. Okay, let's move to the another topic called a compound interest. Yes, this is a quite complicated compared to the simple one, because a compound interest says, so whatever the amount you are initially depositing, on that amount the interest is calculated regularly. So whether you are specifying the interest must be calculated one, like twice in a year or thrice in a year or monthly, so that is how it's gonna be. Now see, the compound interest is like, let's say example, if I'm depositing $1,000 to a certain fixed deposit, and with the compound interest of 10% annually, and I'm depositing, let's say example, for 5 year of time. So what we do is after completing of the 1 year, so I'll be calculating the 10% of that initial amount. Whatever the result, the value I'm gonna get, that value will be the principal amount or the initial value for the my next year, right? And again after second year I'll be calculating whatever the value you have deposited, 10% on that, so you're gonna get the another value, so that's some added amount with that, and that will act as in principal or the initial value for the next year, and so on. So that will be repeating for period of 5 years, or the whatever the period has been specified, right? So that is means like the interest is keep adding, so compounded, so keep adding on the whatever the number of time period we say, right? See, usually you'll be getting a question saying that the interest has been calculated annually or semi-annually, quarterly or monthly. So it means the annually means you are calculating the simple interest once, that is the I can say the value it's gonna be 1. When I say semi-annually, so you are calculating twice a year, so means 2 times per year. When I say quarterly, it means you are calculating the 4 times in a year. So after 3 months, 3 months, like that you are calculating the 4 times. So annually means 1, semi-annually means 2, quarterly means 4, and monthly you are calculating 12 times in a year, so you have to write here as value of 12, right? Right. Okay, so this is the amount what we gonna earn including the compound interest with the my initial deposit, that is the principal amount. Then the value we can do here as, write it here as p times 1 plus r over 100 to the power t. So this is when I'm saying I'm calculating the interest annually, so the compound interest I'm calculating once in a year. This is what we represent. And suppose, let's take, if you are calculating the compound interest like the 2 times in a year or 3 times in a year, then we have to include the number of years as well. Let's see that is in another example. So let's take an example here. If 1,000 is invested at a 5% compounded annually, what is the balance after 2 years? The principal amount is 1,000, the rate of interest is 5%, and the time period here they are giving here as 2 year. What is the balance after 2 years? So how do we solve this? See, the value, what is the amount? So value we can write it here as, that's the what the formula here is, p times 1 plus r over 100 to the power t. It's same, say p is the principal amount, r is the rate of interest, the t is the time period in year, right? Our rate of interest in percent, that's the reason we are dividing it by 100. So substitute these values here, so that's gonna be 1,000. 1 plus what is r, it's gonna be 5 by 100 to the power, time period here is 2, right? So that's gonna be 1,000. 5, so 5 divided by 100 can be written as 0.05, and that's add up with the 1, it's gonna be 1.05 to the power 2. So how do you simplify this? So 1.05 to the power 2, it seems, 1,000 times 1.05 times 1.05. So this is, you can further simplify 105, because you can take these two decimals to other side by cancelling the two zeros, and then becomes here, and another zero we left, we say times 10.5, right? So what result you gonna get? 105 times the 10.5. so whatever the result you gonna get here after simplifying, so you're gonna get here as 11025, just a multiplication. 105 times 10.5, so it's gonna get 11025, so 1125 we can say, right? This is the value what you gonna get. All right, so this is like after the time period of 2 years, so that's what we gonna get here. Sorry, yeah, this is 0.5, now this is, yeah, so 1102.5 will be like one you gonna get. So if I just say what is the compound interest what we gonna earn, so let's say, as I said, so this is the simple formula what I write, then the compound interest can be written as value minus the principal amount, right? So what is the value we gonna get? Value what we got in our case here is, so 1102.5 minus what is the principal amount, that is 1,000, right? So the difference we got it like 102.5. So this is what the amount you earned as in compound interest for the year of 2, that's the time period of 2. But sometime in an exam, especially relating with the banking, as the bankers just play with the interest, simple, compound and the money, they may also ask you a question saying that this value is representing what percent increased on my initial deposit, or what is the overall, what percent of the overall value is increased to get here as 1102.5. so this is what the extra we earn, so this is representing what percent increased on my original value. So you can do it in the this two ways. So if only the percent, if the question is relating with the what percent got increased, you can do it in a two way. One way is by using the basic formula. This is representing the part of the my original value, or this is the change increased. This is my final value. This is, I can say, this is the final, and the amount which I have deposited was the initial. And we know that the percentage change, or we say percentage increase, I can say here as a final minus initial, 1102.5 minus initial, that is 1000, over initial times 100. So if you simplify this, sorry, times the, yeah, over initial, that is 1000 times the 100. If you simplify this, so this is in a bracket, 0 and 0 get cancelled out, then we are getting here as 1102.5 minus 1000, it's going to be 102.5 by 100, sorry, by 10. So we are getting it as 10.25%. So that is, my initial amount got increased by 10.25% in a period of 2 years. So that is the 10.25% as an annual compound interest for the period of 2 years, right? So this is how you can calculate, but this is like a quite long. So first you have to calculate the value, then you have to subtract, and then you have to do, then calculate the part of it. That's going to be quite challenging and quite longer as well. If the question is relating only with like what is the overall increased in the percentage, then instead of doing the value, so we can make use of this concept called, let me just erase this part, let me just erase this. Okay, so this, if there is a question relating only with the increased in the percentage, and we are not interested in what is the initial value or whatever the value you gonna get, so we can use the one concept called effective percent. That this is mainly I'm discussing relating with the banking or any other exam, so which involves the most of about the simple interest and the compound interest. So that concept, it says effective percent. Just make use of this, effective percentage. So this formula I can write it for the period of 2, or I can extend for the period of 3, 4, 5, and so on. So just make use of this x plus y plus xy by 100. Now what is the x and what is the y they are representing here? X is representing with the rate of interest for the first year. Y is representing the rate of interest for the second year. This is how. So in our case, the rate of interest for the first year and the rate of interest for the second year is remaining the same, that is the 5%. But you may get some examples. So first year the rate of interest will be 5%, second year it may be 6% or 7%. In that one, you have to replace the x and value with the rate of interest if they are changing. But here the same, the first year is also 5% and the second year is also 5%. So I can write it here as the first year is also 5%. I can say 5 plus y, second year is the rate of interest for the second year is also 5, plus 5 times 5, 5 times 5 by 100. So when you simplify it, what you gonna get? A 10 plus 25 by 100 is 0.25. So if you add it, so you're gonna get again 10.25 is the overall rate of interest what we're gonna get. So see, we got the same answer here as 10.25, and if there is only the change in the percentage, if there is a question, you can directly do this without calculating the value, right? This is how we can solve. But now you may get a question, yes, this is for the 2-year period of time, that's fine, that's well and good. So what about if the number of years or the time increases? In that case, how we gonna do? I'll show it. So if let's say with the 5% for the time period of 3-year or 4-year, you have to do it in the same way. So there is nothing much change in this part. So how we can do further here is, see, if I'm representing, so this is gonna be the interest after, let's take 2 years, right? and let's say a third in third year your interest has let's say 5% or 10%, whatever. You have to take the third year's interest. Then I'll be doing this is same formula. For the first 2 years you got the rate of interest as 10.25, and the third year rate of interest is, let's say, consider here 5% again. This is I'm talking about for third year. Okay, what will be the interest? First 2 year we earned an interest of 10.25%, and the third year I'm saying, let's say we are continuing with the same 5% of rate of interest. Then we say, then this can be written as 10.25 times 5 divided by 10.2 divided by 100. So that's x plus y plus x times y divided by 100. So if you simplify it, 10.25 plus 5, then I can say 15.25 plus what we gonna get here. So 15.25 plus what is the value we gonna get here for this one. So if you simplify, so 10.25 times 5 divided by 100, the value what we gonna get here is gonna be 0.5125. Okay, so 0.5125. So if you add this one, so that is 15.25 plus 0.5125, that gonna give us like 15.7 5125, or 7525, I can say approximately 15.76. So the overall percentage what we gonna get after 3 years is gonna be 15.76. So if it is for the 4 year or 5 years, just you have to repeat like 15.76 plus whatever the percentage of the fourth year, that's you have to repeat in the way, right? So this is mainly works with the banking, because they goes with the very complicated questions relating with the percentages and all. But if you are going through the like SAT or ACT or any like GMAT questions, GRE, so this concept is not needed. It's just an for the banking purpose. All right. Okay, this is how we calculate the values and also the compound interest, and also if they are expecting you just to know the interest increased or the decrease for the entire period of time, right? So let's take the another example here. As I said, what if the values or a compound interest is calculated annually, that is once, that is semi-annually twice, or quarterly 4 times in a year, or in general I say n times a year. So n is representing the number of times the value got add, compound, that value got calculated with the compound interest. Now if I'm using the n represent the number of times compounded, so compound interest calculated, or I can say the number of times computed, I can say, right here. So then formula now it's gonna be the value after the compound interest for the n number of times. It's gonna be, we can write principal amount times 1 plus r over 100n to the power n times the t. So in the previous example we ignored the n because that refers for the annuals. The value of n it's gonna be 1. So if it is semi-annually, the value of n it's gonna be 2, and so on, right? So let's take one example relating with this. If 1,000 is invested at a 5% rate of interest compounded quarterly, what is the balance after 2 years? So question says now we have to calculate the rate of interest every 3 months, like 4 times in a year. So I'll be calculating the rate of interest on the 1,000 after 3 months, and whatever the amount I'm gonna get, that is my initial or the deposit for the next 3 months. And again I'll be calculating the percent on that value, right? That is what the compounding is. Now the value what we gonna get after a time period of 2 years, which is compounded quarterly, it means the value of n it's gonna be 4, right? So substitute here 1,000 times 1 plus 5 divided by 100 times 4, because 100n, to the power 4 times 2, because time period here is going to be 2. So we're going to get here 1000 times 1 plus 5 divided by 400 time to the power 8. Right, just don't cancel these two zeros and zeros, okay? So it's going to be wrong. So you have to make a common denominator here. So if you make a common denominator here also 400, so you have to multiply this by 400. So that becomes 1000 times 400 plus 5. So 405 by 400 to the power 8, right? So 405 by 400 to the power 8. So now what it's gonna be, the 400, this is a simplified, I can write it here as the 1000. What you gonna get, the 400 405 divided by 400, we're gonna get as 1.0125 to the power 8. So that gives you value here, that gives you the value here as 1104.5. So you can make use a calculator here, because this complicated calculation you may won't expect on GMAT, as it's required a lot of calculation. So like GRE allows you to use a calculator, and other exams also do allow, so there you can expect it, right? And the amount what we gonna get after 2 years with compounded quarterly, that is the 4 times in a year, so it's like 1001, 1104.5, so 1104.5. so this is how you calculate the value, right? Okay, so let's go to the other examples. So that is, I think, okay, that's it. Oh, sorry, there is one example here. Let's go to the other example. This example, especially what you gonna get here in the question exam relating with the SAT or GMAT or GRE. So there is another way to calculate the compound interest without remembering the formula or without making use of the any formula. Let's take an example. If I use, let me take one general example and then I'll come to this question. So let's take an example here. If you are depositing X dollar per, initial, your principal amount is gonna be X dollar with the rate of interest here. Let's take rate of interest R, you are depositing here with, let's take a 5% for a time period here as, let's take a 5 years. And this is, I'm talking about the compound interest, and whatever the value is getting, you are compounded, percentage it is. So now what is the amount, after 1 year, after 1 year, what value you gonna get? So value what you gonna get, it's gonna be, that value becomes my initial amount plus 5% on my initial amount, right? That is the 5%, that is what we're gonna get it for the 1 year. So how do you simplify? X plus 5% can be written as 5 by 100 times X, right? So that's gonna be X plus 0.05 X. So if you take an X as a common out, you will be getting 1 plus 0.05. So I can say 1.05 of the X, that's what I'm gonna get after the first year. Then let me just write here, for after second year, the what value gonna get? So this becomes like the principal amount for the second year, right? So then the value after second year, it's gonna be whatever the value, that is the principal amount what we got here as 1.05 X plus a 5% on the same amount, 1.05 X, right? This is how we do. So 1.05 X plus 5% can be written as again 0.05 times 1.05 X. If I take 1.05 X as a common out, so I get here as 1 plus 0.05, that is this is gonna be 1.05x in a bracket 1.05. So this I can say here as x times 1.05 square, 1.05 times 1.05. Yes, this is the after 2 years, and this is if you are keep repeating. So if it is for after third year, then definitely it's going to be x times 1.05 to the power 3. After 4 year, it's going to be x times 1.05 to the power 4. So just calculate this value, and just square or the cube or whatever the number of time period they are saying, just put the x times that whatever the 1.05 you have calculated for the t number of years. I can say in the same way, the value after t years, I can say this is x times 1.05 to the power t, right? So how many number of years? So you have to write it as 1.05 to that many number of. If the year they have given in terms of the time period, if they have given you in terms of a month, then you have to do whatever the value t divided by 12. So this is just like, the question what they ask you in a different way. This is how you solve questions relating with this. Now let's solve the actual question which I have considered here. Let me erase this part. So this type of questions are very important for the SAT, ACT, or I can also say the GMAT. So they won't specify whether it is compound or like, how it is getting, but the everything they use in terms of a word. So you have to understand and you have to solve the question. So this is the best example which I have considered for the this related concept. Okay, all right, that's great. So that's enough, I believe. Okay, fine. Okay, a radioactive a radioactive substance decays at an annual rate of 13% if the initial amount of the substance is 325 grams. Which of the following function f models the remaining amount of the substance in grams t years later? So now look at the radioactive substance is decreasing every year 13% of its initial value. So initially we have a 325 grams, and after 1 year that's gonna be decreased by 13%. So after completing the 1 year, I can say after 1 year I can say 325 minus 13% of 325, right? So that's we can say 325 minus 13% can be written as 13 by 100. So I can say here 0.13 times of 325. So if you take 325 as a common, then you left with 1 minus 0.13. So after 1 year, it's going to be 325 times 1 minus 0.13, you're going to get 0.87. This, 325 times 0.87. If I say if the amount is decreasing by 13%, means after 1 year only the 87% of its initial value is going to be the substance, right? And after another year the 87% of the whatever the value we got after 1 year, it's I can say just 325 times 0.87 times 87%, that is 0.87. So this is after 1 year, and when I say after 2 years, so this is just gonna be 325 times 0.87 to the power 2. As I said, the 87%, every year it's getting reduced by 13%, so till it gets to 0. So for after they are saying the t years, so in this case we can say 325 times 0.87 to the power t, right? So whatever the number of year they are saying, we have to take it as a power. So after t years, this is the value what it gonna remain. So which is the relating with this one, 325 times 0.87 to the power t. So that is equivalent to the option A. So this is how you solve a question relating with the of course this is the compound interest concept, but they are not specifying that's how do we go. So this is the concept what you need to know for the SAT or the GMAT, right? Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you so much. I'll be getting a new video on the another topic soon. So till that time, take care. Bye bye. Thank you.